All right, so I don't normally do this, but I caught something on Twitter for the Squadron report that was quite interesting. So I figured we'd cover that as well on stream. And as always, I'll wait until the following week to cover it in week in review. But we'll do a quick react on it because most things are similar to the previous one. For example, I think a lot of things here are like Squadron related. I always go and look for the things that are Star Citizen related. You mean X? No, it will always be Twitter, bro. I'm sorry. Like for example, something like this. For example, AI can now wake up and, while restrained, and call out to others to come and rescue them. They also developed interfaces and behaviors for AI-driven vehicles equipped with specific radar gadgets. So, like right away, like bang, specific radar gadgets. Okay, well, we know that there are kind of specific radar gadgets in the PU ships as well. Scanning is a big pain point, I think, for many Star Citizen backers. So how does this, potentially improve the PU at some point? Maybe. Buddy AI. Again, a lot of this stuff is going to make things better, but when is the hardest part? So I try not to get too deep in the weeds. This was all the same thing that we saw in the PU monthly report. This section here, AI vehicles. Level design stuff. Animation team. This is the one that I saw on Twitter. Last month, the animation team moved from alpha to beta work. This involved improving visual results and reloads and takedowns, as well as basic idles for weapons and knives. So then people on Twitter were like, they said the B word. But this is probably some internal term, right? That doesn't mean anything. Like gold standard, right? Like it doesn't mean gold. It just doesn't. So I just think that that's let's not freak out here, okay? That's the main thing that I think people grabbed. It's the animation team, dude. You know what I mean? It's the animation team. Like, what is this? It's not like, this can't possibly be that big of a deal. Now, are we going to have to, like, do I think we're going to hear something at CitizenCon around Squadron? Yes, I do. I absolutely do. I don't know if it'll go as far as a date, or, certain plans for like a beta or something like that. But they have put, now quite a long bit of time on this. Mike is huffing copium. No, dude, this has nothing to do with copium. Like I think that they actually have something. What I'm saying is I think they'll say something, and we know what their words mean. Not a whole lot, right? Like that they can literally give a date, and that date will be as hold as much weight as, have you ever seen like the lightest object in the world? It was like this thing that they just, people just put there and it just floated in the air, like never fell to the ground. Like that's how much weight Squadron 42 date would have at this year's CitizenCon, right? So that's kind of how I feel for that. Core engine stuff is not going to be anything I would touch on. Game flip features sometimes. In-game sim pod, that has to come to us, right? At some point. This is a big thing, by the way, guys. Anybody who's played a Wing Commander game, I think it's always had a sim pod in it. So that's super, super important. And this is a very tinfoil hat. But do you think we're getting Arena Commander work because they need their sim in Squadron? Like anybody who played a Wing Commander game knows that there's like a leaderboard in like for kills and stuff in that game. You know, like we've heard about like Endless Vandal Swarm. It's very tinfoil hat, but yeah, that gives me those vibes. Vehicle features. So this is again something that does definitely touch us because vehicles are pretty big. New aiming modes, dynamic zooming on targets, bro. 99. Like, I wonder if they have data on how many people turn off all this dynamic zoom, because I don't like it. And I know anytime I've trained with like good PvPers, they've told me to turn it off because it kind of messes with your aim, and I would agree for me. But I wonder how many of you guys have turned that off, because I hate it. Control surfaces was finalized last month, with the team making UI changes to show additional information, including stall speed, selected mode, and thruster and control surface. Further control options will be considered following playtesting, which they'll playtest, but then they can playtest with us now that we have Arena Commander, so that's really great. So again, going back to the previous thing, if they only worked on Arena Commander, which again, super tinfoil hat, just to support something for Squadron 42, the knock-on improvements that we get in the PU from it, or just generally as backers that can currently play it, we get a lot there. Physics teams for physical damage tech, which requires a lot of lower level vehicle system refactors. So again, this looks like it's very far away. So if you think Squadron is anywhere near in beta, if this is a Squadron feature, it's not anywhere near beta. Okay, this is still very alpha things to do, right? July's work on multifunction delay or multifunction display is a thing, but let's go back to this. This will update vehicles to use much more modern systems in the engine to work far better with physical damage and other recent features. So this is probably one of the most anticipated, most important features we have in terms of combat, right? I think we watched a Loud Guns video the other day where he wanted to make like design fleets for his org, but there's so much that works against you because, well, a bunch of light fighters can kill an Idris now, when in reality, when physical damage comes in, well, the hull is going to be so thick on an Idris that the size of weapon that you can fire on a light fighter would just scratch the surface of something like that, right? Given this system. Turret seats are currently being converted to use the new MFD system. Hallelujah. Oh my god, anybody use turret MFDs or use turrets at all? Oh my god, knows the pain there. So that's really good. Another smaller UI element worked on was rearm and refuel terminal located at some of the landing pads, which required a few new UI tech elements, which were resolved. I'm curious on this one because what we have now is pretty good. It's not very pretty, but it's good. So curious on that. And lastly, the vehicle loadout terminal is now largely functional, allowing players to see all the items available in their profile and equip them onto their ships in the Idris's hangar. Vehicle features are currently working on the UI to finalize how this terminal will look. Just because that is in the... I'll go back to the MFD part. I guess I skipped over something. But I want to touch on this too, is a vehicle loadout terminal, just because it's in the Idris in Squadron, doesn't mean we can't have it in our hangar or at the terminals, right? MFD, showing information from the scan target and allowing players to find out about its internal components by utilizing a deeper scan. This is now working as intended. Take it from Squadron and send it to the PU, please. Thank you, Zero State. Take it from Squadron and give it to the PU, please, because man, is that a wanted feature in the PU. Scanning's working. We like that. Gameplay story, we don't need to touch on that because again, it's just that might be a little spoilery for people, so I don't like to touch on that too much. We saw that in the previous report. Level design might have a few things, but again, it's like scenes and level design from the movie they're making, not really the game, I think. Narrative, again, doesn't really touch much for us. R&D. I see cloud rendering, so that was, again, just stuff we had seen in the PU monthly report. UI team is iterating on display layouts for Squadron 42's flyable vehicles to ensure they all look and feel unique, but retain the ease of use built on throughout the project. Okay. The multi-tool UI was updated to make it simpler and cleaner, while improvements were made to the AR markers and health widget. The UI also updated several interaction menus and continued developing one of the key 3D displays in the game. I think that is a big one for us because, you know, obviously the multi-tool is a very used thing for us as well. And that would be nice to see, for sure. Core technology improvement building blocks, we saw that as well. And more focus on fire propagation and gas cloud lighting stuff. So I don't know if I gather anything that we see here in this report that is an indicator of something we might see at CitizenCon. I think most people believe that something around Squadron will exist at CitizenCon, whether it's a date, whether it's a keynote, whether it's a a demo, whether it's something or just a talk. I think most of us believe that we will see something from Squadron. It could just be a much more thought out, like basically what we got at the end of CitizenCon last year. Like, hey, these are the elements that are going to be working in the PU. I think that would be the bare minimum. And then the highest level of insanity would be setting a date for the project, right? So the project's released, but I think everything that we see here shows it's still very much in an alpha state, and the only thing that's in beta state is animations or something, which maybe that is just an internal term and doesn't mean what we think it means. So again, stay calm, citizens. Stay calm. It's gonna be okay. Enjoy what you have on the client. If you don't enjoy what you have on your computer, go play something else, right? It'll be okay. There'll be new stuff to check out at some point soon. And when you do, it'll be fun for a little while, and then we'll move on to other things. Like, it's no big deal.